Imagine this, it's 3 a.m., the house is silent, but your head is going in circles. Your brain is basically screaming. You're thinking about all the decisions that you still have to take the next day, about all the people that you have to manage, about projects that you should finish, deadlines that are approaching, and you're wondering how on earth you could possibly finish all of this. And on top of that, you're starting to feel that maybe you are actually not good enough for this job. Does that sound familiar? I spent almost 20 years in the corporate world, of which several in leadership roles. I know this feeling all too well because I've been there myself as a corporate leader. In this video, I don't only want to share how I managed to avoid burnout while being a leader, but I also want to tell you how the solution you're looking for might already be there, because that was the case for me. Some years ago, one day I was promoted into a leadership role. And I was all excited because I had put in all the work. I had worked crazy hours. I had taken on responsibility, gone beyond what was asked from me. And so I was really happy because it also meant that finally I was given the recognition that I was also looking for. Something that I didn't foresee at that moment was the emotional roller coaster that came along with being a leader, because suddenly I had to answer all kinds of questions. There was my team that had questions on me in terms of the reorganization. They wanted answers and decisions. I had projects that I had to deliver on. And at the same time, I was responsible for a big budget. I had to manage people and I had to also come up with strategy. So what I had in front of me was a mountain of actual work combined with a nagging imposter syndrome, because how could I potentially manage all of that? How could I manage people or lead people? Because I didn't even know what the difference was. And I looked at all my peers and I was thinking, well, they have it all figured out. It's just me who doesn't really know what they're doing. I had so many things to do that sometimes work crept into the weekend, which I think is a really bad idea and you should never do that. But I found myself spending a couple of hours every weekend doing work, checking emails, because I thought I needed to get ahead of everything that I had to do. And so one Sunday I was really not doing well, but I felt like I was drowning in work. I got to the point where I took my phone and I texted my boss saying that we need to stop doing what we're doing. We just cannot continue like this, because I felt it wasn't just true for myself, but it was the case for the wider team. And I had come to the point where I realized it wasn't about productivity hacks or becoming more effective. Something else had to change. It was more of a case of intuition. I felt like maybe if all the external tricks and tips and development programs didn't work for me, there was something inside of me that had to change. And that's the first time that I turned to the possibility of working with a coach. I compared myself to sports people and I was thinking, well, if top sports athletes work with a coach, why should business people not work with a coach? It can only be beneficial. Now I had the first get to know each other call with the coach, and to tell you the truth, I didn't even know what I wanted to work on. That question remained unanswered, so I basically just came up with something. And as I had my first coaching session, I suddenly realized what it really was all about. It was the pressure that I put on myself through all the expectations that I had on myself. And I quickly came to realize that nobody else was having the same kind of expectations like the ones that I had on myself. And 60 minutes into this coaching session, I felt a huge sense of relief. It went so far that I finally felt that sense of agency again, that sense of agency that I thought that I just didn't have, something that I had been looking for all this time. And I realized that I didn't have to become a better leader. I didn't have to change what I was doing. I didn't have to be more productive or more efficient or do things quicker. I didn't have to change the way I was leading my people. But what I had to do basically was to stop giving in to all the many thoughts that I had about all the stories I had made up about work, about success. The key to anyone's success is not becoming a better version of yourself or improving yourself, because that's just nonsense. I don't believe in that. But it needs to be around finding that place of, let's call it, peace of mind. How do you come to a place of presence where you know you don't lead giving into stress and pressure, but you are there, fully present for yourself, but also for your team. And maybe being fully there for yourself is the first and most important step in all of this. And if I manage to do this, you will manage the same as well. Because forget about the development programs, forget about all the videos that tell you to level up and to find the best version of yourself, because the best version of yourself is already there. It's just about refocusing, refinding that sense of calm, that sense of peace, that sense of presence. And that gives you agency, that gives you relief. With that, you also find that you actually have a very engaged and motivated team without needing to change your leadership style, because that will come authentically and natural to you too. So if you're interested in any of that, subscribe to this channel, because I will be sharing more insights, maybe some tips and tricks how you can get there. Why don't you comment on this video and let me know what is one thing that keeps you up at night in your role as a leader? I would love to hear from you.